Hey guys, before we get started today, we wanted to take a minute to thank you, the listener, for tuning in and proving you have a growth mindset. Our mission is to curate information from the top influencers around the world. We provide you with real, actionable steps on how to improve in all areas of your life, whether you own a business, are a C-suite exec, have an entrepreneurial mindset, or you're just starting your journey of self-development. Professional development is all about growth, and if you're not growing, you're dying. If you enjoy this content, please help us help others by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Professional Development Podcast. Today is Wednesday, September 1st, and Brad reminded me it's the start of Q4.
That's it. Q4 starts October 1st.
So Brad was wrong, and I failed on fact checking.
I didn't get a chance to say anything.
October, November, December. Yeah,
Look at that. Yeah. Good thing I didn't make a post about that on the old internet.
It started the third of the year.
Yeah. It is the third.
It's the third.
That's what we were talking
The
about.
third month of the third quarter.
I told you the third.
What?
I told you the third.
You weren't listening to Brad at all.
Of
Yeah.
what? The third?
Yeah.
You did not.
I did not hear that.
No. So today we're going to talk about how to start a business. We got a lot to go through, but I figured, Bobby, shut that thing up, dude.
First rule of podcasting is
shoot.
turn off all.
Silence your shit.
Yeah.
My bad.
We've actually got, and we're going to shoot the shit for a little bit. We've actually got, Dan's out. He had a shit ton going on with work, but we've got something new that's going to happen every time that Rich is here. Rich has got a microphone. Rich, say what's up to everybody.
What's up, everybody?
So Rich is the man. Rich is the guy that cuts our shit up, that makes us, basically takes us from like shitty sounding and like nothing to like mediocre at best, right?
Which is a big mediocre.
It's a big leap.
Like those sounds that you just heard in the background that I have to take out later. Now I get to yell about, basically.
Are you talking about the squeaking sound?
I'm talking about the phones going off.
Bobby's computer.
You actually take that out?
Sometimes.
Oh,
it depends.
Cool. Look at
Fucking
that.
sorcery.
Well, we'll find out.
So yeah, we're happy to have Rich. What is going on? What's up with you guys?
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I had a crazy first day of, I sent my daughter to preschool, sent her off into the real world today. So she turns 5 tomorrow. And man, I tell you what, kids like my kids make me emotional. Like seeing my
You turn
little,
into such a pussy when it comes to your kids.
I do, man. Like such a pussy. But man, like I took off this morning, which is a freedom of starting your own business, and sent her off down the hallway, and she's crying, and I'm just like, this sucks. I don't want you. You don't have to go into the real world. Just come back to Dad. We'll go to Chuck E. Cheese or something. But yeah, so big day for us and the family. Sent the first kid off into the real world.
That's
That's
big
awesome.
day. You look. I mean, rarely do I ever see like you smiling and just like look super happy, and it's just like well,
That was a
I see-
genuine smile.
Yeah, like a genuine smile. Yes, and you look. I don't know what the word is to describe it, but you look like you have a heart.
If you were a chick, you'd totally fuck me right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You look vulnerable.
Jesus. That's how we know what Matt's looking for.
There we go.
If you're vulnerable, he's down.
Exactly. So, Bobby, you got anything?
Nothing crazy, man. I've just been working a ton. Shelby got washed up here from Hurricane Ida, so she's been here bunkered down since Saturday. So
she's here in the STL.
She's here, man. Yeah,
That means lots of sexy time.
Indeed. So she came up here Saturday and got washed out. They've been without power there for a while now. Since Sunday, whenever that hit. So she's in town, man. She'll be here until we leave for California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
How about you?
I started phase 1 today. So
Of 75 hard.
70. Yeah, the next phase of 75
Of
hard, phase
transitioning.
1. So it's been a hectic day. Woke up a little earlier, but everything's been smooth. But I'm also like, I'm always questioning my priorities when I go through this. But the 3 critical tasks that I add are all, for the most part, focused in the same area around business and finances. So that's going well.
You're getting some Snapchat ads of booty shaking.
So yeah, I get random Snapchat ads, and I was talking to.
Okay, first of all, for a guy that doesn't have Snapchat,
Okay.
when you're saying ads, you don't mean like an advertisement. You mean like a chick adding you.
Yes,
Okay,
a person adding you to like their list of
Just had to
people
make sure
that they
there.
can send Snapchats back and forth to. And so it's like, I'll get them randomly. And it's just like, I feel like it's usually people from my phone book or whatever. And it's like, I've been getting a good amount of just like weird random ads. And like one of them was just, I accepted before I started playing volleyball and then played volleyball for 2 hours and then came back to my car. And it was like, I'd say a good 6 minutes of Snapchat straight of her just like shaking her ass. And like, I think
Did you watch the full 6 minutes?
No,
Okay.
no. I was in public.
Like
so.
3 minutes.
He only needed 3 minutes.
Just jetted through it after 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then some are just like people that'll just say, "Hey," like, and then like try to strike up a conversation. I'm like, "Do I know you?" They're like, "No, not really." Or there's been one person that acted like they did know me, and then
asked you to send them money.
and then they'll randomly start sending me pictures, and then the pictures look like they have a phone in front of a computer, like super pixelated, like it just like. So yeah, I've got this theory that it, not that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, but like I have a theory that it's just gay guys that are like trying to cop some dick pics from some random.
Have you thought about like calling their bluff?
Me?
Yeah. Like send one?
Just send a dick pic?
Yeah.
Maybe you could look up pictures of dick pics and then send them the pixelated picture of a dick.
So what?
And then you'll find out if your theory is true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they'll really appreciate it.
Well, I'm not going to send them my dick.
We'll send them someone else's.
No.
No.
I'm just going to stop accepting these people. I think that's the goal. That's going to be a good thing. Yeah.
But one turn downs, one never had, Matt.
Yep. I'm also off of dating apps during phase one.
During phase
deleted
one.
it.
I was
I
like,
deleted
in a
everything.
relationship?
I thought maybe, that's what I was thinking. There's a little special somebody.
No.
Just need no distractions.
Just no distractions. Like we're just going gung ho on the business.
That would be so
the
hard for
pod.
me if I was single.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
And you got a big week next week, though, I feel like doing phase one. We'll be in California.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Like, that's a lot.
Hinge would be sick in California. Chicks are so hot in California. It's stupid.
Maybe you could just like.
Well, luckily I didn't
browse.
actually add it to my. Maybe I'll re-download it. Whatever.
I mean,
next month.
And like, we're going to get a picture
Look
like
forward to
eating
those
at
updates.
Nobu and stuff. Like, that'd be like a solid profile.
Yeah. Good call. All right. Well,
especially after we win that doubles tournament, you're going to want a good ab pick.
dude, I'm pumped for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that's it. That's all I got. You guys got anything?
No.
Okay.
Let's
so,
roll.
I think the goal of today is we're going to talk from like Brad and Mike's perspective. It's going to be, why did you start a business? And we know Bobby is going to be starting a business, like a side business at some point down the road that he's kind of been talking about. So it's, why did we start it? Bobby, why are you looking to start a business? We'll talk about his entrepreneurship, like the entrepreneurship bug, innate, or can it be developed? And then what are some of the most important things that you need to consider when thinking about starting a business? So what quotes do we have?
I got one here from, I got a couple from Gary Vee that I liked. Some simple ones, right? One of his is, everything takes longer than you think. A lot of people want that instant gratification now, especially with social media. Click a button, get a like, check it constantly. And then the other one that I like as a follow-up to that is his other one is, the quotes are simple, the execution is hard. So you can talk about quotes all day, but it's just going out and making it happen.
That's a good one, actually. The one I got is from somebody very strange. It's from Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's.
Okay.
And his was, what do you need to start a business? 3 simple things. Know your product better than anyone, know your customer, and have a burning desire to succeed. So, little something different off the...
That's good.
Love it.
Dave Thomas, huh?
Yeah.
So-
Baconator, baby.
What was that?
The Baconator.
The Baconator. Yeah. So mine is pretty straightforward. And I typically, I think I avoid Gary Vee quotes for the most part, but this one is pretty spot on. There's never been a better time in the history of time than right now to start a business.
Yeah.
And it is so fucking true. It's like, there's so many resources out there. There's so many opportunities. There's so many up and coming industries that it's like, you can literally start a business doing anything if you just decide to do it and put time and effort towards it.
And so this is related, not related. I always compare like people who are like, oh, it's not the right time for me to start a business to having kids. Like it's never ever the right time to have a kid because first of all, you don't know what the fuck you're going to do. And this little alien comes out, but you figure it out. And it's the same thing with a business. Like once you start it, you're kind of, you got to fucking figure it out.
Committed.
You know, or you're fucked. So it's like you either want to do it or you don't.
Yep. But it's that feeling of being fucked that usually motivates you into figuring it out.
Exactly.
And that's how you get to have a kid.
And that's how you have a kid.
Exactly.
Yep. All right.
Bobby might be a dad in 9 months. Hurricane Ida. Call her Ida.
Yeah.
I hope not.
That'd be great.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
That's what they all say.
Do you guys have any books or podcasts or anything to suggest for people thinking about starting their own business?
I have one just from, and I read most of this. I honestly didn't finish it, but Gary Vee, once again, a lot of Gary Vee stuff. He talks all the time about starting your own business, and it's his, I think it's his most recent one still, is the Crushing It book.
Yeah, I read that one.
I mean, talking a lot about all the different, like you said, Matt, all the different resources that we have nowadays to start one. There's a need for just about everything. It's a matter of being solution focused. Where's there a need? Where's there a problem? And is there an opportunity for a product?
Yep.
I actually didn't have any just because I figured if you want to start a business and you follow any sort of influencers, they're going to tell you.
They'll tell you.
Start a business.
Yeah. So I had the 4-hour work week, which is one of my favorites I always reference. And then I literally just put listen to Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Like all the shit that he says, there's a lot of truth to it. Also, even though I'm on and off with Gary Vee, it's like sometimes I would just go back to him whenever I was thinking about starting a business and just listen to him. Like
he's a lot sometimes.
Tell me to stop being a bitch. Yeah. No, he's so much sometimes. That's why it's like I can only take him in a certain amount of doses. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for motivation, go to Gary Vee and some practical shit too.
I think that's the same way for a lot of influencers. I know I've gone on some really big Frisella kicks, and then I'm like, I can't handle him right now. Like every single podcast is political, and I want some content around business, right? So I think it's a matter of picking. Like you go in ebbs and flows. Like pick different podcasts. You don't need to absorb all the different content out there.
Yep. So Brad, why did you decide to start your own business?
So I was born into, entrepreneurial family essentially. So I kind of always knew that I wanted to start a business or that I would take over my dad's company. And so in the process, part of the deal of when I was racing is I had to go to college. So in college, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take business. Duh. But at Webster, they actually had an entrepreneurship certificate. So I'm like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. Like I knew early on, not early on, that was 10 years ago, that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to own my own business, whether I was taking over his or doing my own. And, my deal I'm doing now kind of started out as a side hustle, which I think most businesses probably do. And it got to the point where I'm like, hey, I'm making some money here. What do we have to do to make this a real business? And me and my dad kind of had a discussion. It was like, do you want to take over my business or do you want to chase this? And I'm like, well, what do you think? And he's basically said, you like what you're doing, right? Like this is a passion.
Yep.
And the answer was yes. And that's kind of like the fork in the road for me that, I didn't go cut grass. I kind of went and started building parts.
Yep.
So that's kind of why I did it.
That's pretty awesome. So Bobby, why are you considering starting a side business when things are going so well at Aflac?
Yeah, so I think like the control is a big thing, and I have a lot of that right now within my organization with Aflac. And at the end of the day, there still are people that I report into. Like I'm gonna hop off here to go do a reporting call at 5:15 because it's the third month of the third quarter.
There
and
you
this
go.
is our busiest time of year.
That's
right?
what Brad was talking about.
Yeah, that's what Brad said from the
Busiest time of the year.
And it really is the busiest time of the year for us, and we do a lot of daily reporting. And I think, not that I want to get away from that, because it is something that I've built up quite a bit of success there. I have a lot of renewals that pay me, which is awesome. But at the same time, if I can get to a point where I ultimately really do have no one to report into except for clients, and just controlling that customer experience, I think that sounds a lot more ideal, where right now I have people that I report into and customers. So by all means, anyone who's with Aflac listening to this isn't me saying, hey, I'm stopping anytime soon, but like a side hustle is something that I've been thinking about here for honestly since I've been doing the podcast with you guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any ideas?
Nothing like set in stone. I know that I'd love to do some speaking engagements around just my story with sobriety. I want to help people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a big money-making opportunity with that. However, I want to be able to give back, and I think that'd be a really cool place to start. And from there, like, I mean, as far as like a product goes, I don't know what I would put out, but I think that I do have some good knowledge whenever it comes to on the sales side of things, training people, training leaders, and how to basically transfer that skill set. So I think there's some opportunities there. It's just a matter of, all right, what am I really good at? And then go all in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
So,
Why'd you decide to start your business?
So, I guess I'll start with like, I was pretty much always good at any job, but I was never a great employee. I was like, not any job. There was one job I got fired from, and I was god awful at it. I got fired within a month. But like for the most part, I was pretty good at jobs, but I was always not the greatest employee. And I realized later that it's like, I don't know. I tried finding this quote and I can't find who it was, but it just resonated with me. It was, I'll never work harder for anyone than I will for myself.
Exactly.
And it's just the truth. It's like, I like what I'm doing now, the hours that I'm putting in now, it's like, I would have never fucking done that.
No, you saw the clock at 5, you were out.
I was checking the clock every fucking couple of hours to like see how much time till lunch, right?
Yeah.
How much time do I go home? Like every fucking time. And now I never do that. So I, let's see. So one of the things that happened was I worked at a firm and I found out that like I was doing all the work, bringing in all the sales, selling, like matching clients with candidates, creating the relationship, building the relationship, maintaining all of that shit. And they were taking 75% of the money.
Yeah.
And that's when I like, definitely it was just like, this kind of seems weird. And all they were doing was providing me with like a desk and an upgraded LinkedIn account. And then I was fired from, I was fired from like half my corporate jobs actually. But like I was fired from one that left me in a really shitty financial, I left myself in a shitty financial position, but put me even further into that. And then I remember I had to move back. It's when I had to move back in with my mom. And I was just like, that's when I finally put pen to paper and was like, what do I need to do to actually start a recruitment company? Like, what are the things that I need? And I was just like, okay, laptop, phone, LinkedIn. And I was like, wait,
that's it.
What?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Like that's,
Let's go.
That's
Internet connection.
legitimately all. And so I thought about it. Then I got the job at Nestle Purina. And then realistically, I was hoping Dan was here. Dan was the first conversation that started this snowball of me having like 30 to 40 other conversations around people that started their own deal. And me eventually branching out. So money was a motivator, realizing that I'm not going to work harder for anyone myself. Also freedom, especially that first year, I was like, I want to be able to do what I want and not have to fucking report to anybody.
Yeah.
Because that's what always got me in trouble.
I feel like if you don't have to ask somebody for time off for vacation, that means you're doing okay.
Yes. 100%.
Because, I mean, there's employees that work really good jobs that they can just go on fucking vacation if they want, but that's not everybody.
Yeah, if you've got actual freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's people, there was that one video on Instagram that was like asking, like requesting PTO.
Yeah.
Like PTO denied. And then he was like, well, looks like I'm taking a sick day then. It's like, you think I didn't have a fucking backup plan?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what were the biggest struggles you went through from the get-go, Brad? Like what were the biggest hurdles and I guess biggest points that you had to get over?
I mean, for me, I've been super fortunate that I've had my dad in my corner the whole time. That's like already a super successful guy that's literally learned the hard way. And like every time that I've veered from his advice has been a learning lesson because he already knew it was going to fail, but he let me go through that process.
Yep.
So for me, the biggest thing that I deal with that is still an issue today is probably employment, of taking that risk of hiring another person. And then also just like scheduling. Like I'm horrible at it. Like, I mean, I've got jobs that come in and I'll like write it on a piece of paper and then I go run a machine and I come walking back and like that paper flew off the desk and then I don't know about it again for another week until they email me like, oh, how's our shit looking? And I'm like, fuck. So those are the things that I deal with that are my biggest hurdles, along with bookkeeping, which my wife has now officially taken over as of last week. There's been a lot of talking about it, but now it's officially like she's in charge of the QuickBooks. Like it's yours. Take care of it. So
that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
I just started like really, really getting into QuickBooks. Like,
I hate it.
And having to do everything. And it's going to save me a fuck so much time in tax season. But Bob, right now, obviously you're super busy with work, but what are the biggest things holding you back?
Man, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things is time. I think, but I think it also comes down to being intentional with your time too. We talk a lot about that just with people right now that are working with Aflac is being intentional. So that's probably the biggest thing is some of the restrictions on time. What are you spending that time doing? Is it in that free time after work? Are you going to exercise? Are you spending that time with family? Are you taking that time to say, all right, I'm going to develop that side hustle? So it's just a matter of figuring out what you should be spending your time doing and then working on that. So right now it's been a lot of, I mean, my physical health, it's not taken a back seat, but it's not been worked on as hard as it has been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it's been poured into this new position with Aflac. So I think that's the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back is the perceived amount of time, but it's also people auditing their time and figuring out, okay, what am I spending my time actually doing?
Yeah.
And we actually have for the third quarter of the third month, we have right now is we have a time block sheet of 30 minutes from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and having people fill out what they're doing in those 30-minute blocks.
That's pretty tight, even 30 minutes.
Dude, and it's like, all right, what did you do there? Were you on fucking Facebook? Were you scrolling on Instagram? Were you swiping on dudes, swiping on chicks?
Who's swiping on dudes?
I don't know. There's girls in our office. They could be swiping on dudes.
I thought you were talking about you and Matt. I'm like, whoa.
I'm not swiping anymore.
Or Rich, I don't know.
I just swipe on QuickBooks now. Personal, business, personal.
Dude, you never know nowadays. Like
that's right.
There's one of the states, I forget which one it was, the Miss whatever that state was a trainee.
Yeah.
Was a straight up
I mean, would you?
No.
If it was post-op?
No.
Okay. What if you didn't know till afterwards? Would you be pissed though?
Fucking livid. Yes.
That'd be pretty
That'd
awesome,
be such a fucking story though.
That would make for a great shoot the shit. That'd be an entire episode.
Utah or Mr. Utah.
This is why, like, you guys, like, Brad, you and Dan are kind of like, man, dude, like, what a time to be single. It's like, also, what a fucking time to be single.
It's true.
Like, you
don't know.
You don't know. You might have already.
No.
You don't know.
No.
He'll never know.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
You don't know.
You might need to audit that.
That took a turn.
Fuck. All right. Rich, cut that out. Thanks.
Nah, Rich, keep it.
I think you can say everything you're saying. You just can't say it as sternly as you're saying it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, it hasn't happened.
Yeah. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Very defensive.
Anyway, trannies. So what were we even talking about?
Struggles.
Trannies.
Yeah.
Trannies, time constraints.
No.
Same thing.
So biggest struggles for me, one was just pulling the trigger. I was super hesitant to. I needed to talk to like 40 different people. I struggled to find my first real client because it was ultimately because I didn't set an end date. Like everybody knew that eventually I was going to leave and do my own thing. And I never set an end date or really, I guess, like a start date for when I was going to do my shit. And then I remember coming in one Monday and I was like, I cannot fucking believe I'm here, like working for somebody else. Yeah, just like reporting to anybody, right? Yeah. I loved my manager and everybody was awesome at Purina, but I was just like, I literally walked in to her office. I was like, hey, like putting in, my notice, like 2 months, right? Yeah. Or whatever it is. And she was like, well, when's your end date going to be? I was like, I have no idea. And so we like sat there, like I just gave it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like 2 months out or whatever it was. And then it forced me to start really looking for clients because it became real. And then like 2 weeks before, probably like 3 weeks before my last date, I brought on a retained client. And it was like more money than I was making at my corporate job.
Yeah. You're like, this is cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
and
badass.
then that first day I just sat there in the home office and I was like, this is so fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome though.
It was super cool. So that being said, what have been the most fulfilling things about owning a business that you've gotten to deal with?
For me, this one's easy just because I build products that are used on race cars that race all over the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. So for me, I used to be like so excited. Like I'd get an email, or not an email, but I'd get an order saying, oh, somebody bought something. And I'd look and see what state it was. And that's how it started off. And I'd be like, oh, cool. So I sold something in fucking Wisconsin today. And now it's like, I've probably sold to like almost every state except for Alaska and Hawaii, let alone
That's amazing.
2 other countries that are halfway across the world.
Yep.
And then when you see some of my clients are racing at literally the highest form of NASCAR, they go and they use my parts and they win a race. And I'm like, I pretty much had nothing to do with you winning that just because you're that fucking good. But my parts were on your car.
Yeah.
And like to me, like I get a picture and it's like them staying in victory lane. And I'm like, I was a very small percentage of that. And believe it or not, they wouldn't have been there without that part on their car. So
Yeah,
to me, that's what's super easy for me.
That's badass.
But I'm also trying to transition away from that right now. So like that's going to be like a tricky spot of like, am I going to work too far away from my passion that I won't have that burning desire anymore?
Mm-hmm.
But money is usually always number one.
That's always a good one. Yeah. So first thing was when I realized that my first year out, I made 2 times what I made in my corporate gig. Like that's when I was like, why the fuck did it take me this long? Like this is so fucking stupid. And then it was hiring my first employee. And then actually I had to think about this. This came up. Getting my first employee, her first like oh shit check.
Yeah.
Because she was a commission recruiter. And it was like, I remember we were going to, like, we had a little like Christmas party deal. And she's like 23, 24. So literally her first job out of college. And I handed her a check for over $10,000.
Yeah.
And
she was like,
yeah. And she was like really like appreciative of it. But she also wasn't super motivated by money. She was just like a really good employee and like liked getting her shit done.
even if you're not motivated by money, when you get a big check, you're happy.
Yes. Your first job out of college, like what was it? It was probably like 5 months, 6 months into it. You get a $10,000 check.
That's pretty fucking massive.
You're happy no matter what. And that was really cool. That was a cool feeling because like you could tell, even though she wasn't motivated, that she was super pumped about that. And then building a team and seeing the culture start to form. We had an outing not too long ago, and it was myself, Dan, and everybody else in our office. And it was cool to see how well everyone was clicking and getting along. And like you could tell that they were friends outside of work. So being able to build that, even though it's a small team, that's a fulfilling part to me. Like building that type of culture where people want to come into work and people like who they work with. That's fun to me because I've had jobs where I did like the people I work with, and I've had jobs where I fucking hated everybody walking in there.
It's a big difference.
It is.
Huge.
Yep. So now we're going to ultimate goal with companies. Bobby, like we'll talk about this a little bit, right? But in like a perfect world, have you given much thought to like, okay, if I could start a business, like I could have Affleck going, I could have these businesses, like what would you want to do? Like, would it just be like the nonprofit side of things and just making the impact and then you just make a boatload of money off of Affleck? Or would it be like multiple streams of income?
I mean, I think I see it being something where there's some investment opportunities. I think real estate is something that's really smart to get into, have someone almost manage that for you. I can also get to a point where with Affleck, I have a goal to hire an employee by October 1st to basically help manage our existing, starting the fourth quarter, correct? Mm-hmm. The first month of the fourth quarter. And have someone that's helping manage our existing book, because I actually pulled it up the other day, and we have 1,500 accounts that we work with, and we have $2.1 million of accounts that have not been touched in over 2 years. Jeez. There's not been a new application written there, so I'm like, I need to hire someone to manage this book. So that'll be a nice win there, and I think I kind of I went a little bit off the beaten path there, but I would like to do something that's impactful on the nonprofit side of things that helps a lot of different people, and would also love to be able to have something that I can invest in and hire it out, outsource that for someone else to manage. So that ultimately would be my goal.
Okay, cool. So, Brad, what's the ultimate goal for your companies?
So I sent a message to my mom about a week ago, and I said, "You guys need to go on some trips and enjoy it." And she's like, "Oh, but I'm gonna miss my kids and grandkids." And she goes, "Would you want to come?" And I said, "No, because I'm too busy building my fucking empire." And I don't know if that came across as like rude to my own mom, but it's like, man, I'm dedicated right now to like, I want some fucking fuck you money. Like I want that yacht. I want, like, if I want a plane, like, probably will never buy a plane, but I want to like be able to buy one if I wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I want. And you know, we had that mastermind deal out in Colorado. You know, my goal was to start another business and this year. So, you know, we're closing in on last quarter almost. And I haven't done anything yet. So I'm like, I'm kind of pissed at myself that I haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. But it's also, and I'm the type of guy that pushes everybody, start a business. And these people are like, oh, why haven't you started another business? And it's because it still has to be right. And I haven't found the right situation that is going to make sense. Like I've been close on a couple things, but it didn't work out. And I'm not going to like push it because I want my business I have currently to be able to run on its own to where I could step away and then focus on building something else.
Yeah.
So long-term goals is I'd like to own multiple businesses, 3 or 4 different types, whatever it may be, hopefully recession-proof businesses that are going to be something that's always needed. I mean, I understand COVID happened, which kind of doesn't really apply to any business, but you know, I'd like to have enough options where if one of my business has a slow year, another one's had a good year and it kind of levels off. And I want to have generational wealth. I want my kids to almost just walk into something that's running itself that they can take over. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yep.
You?
So the goal is to remove myself from one day from my company and scale the fuck out of it. I would like to own multiple companies. I do want to build a lot on the real estate side. I think it's the fastest way to build income. You know, if you have the capital for it, it's the fastest way to start building up super, super passive income.
They're not making any more land.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
What's there's there.
People are always going to need places to live.
Yeah.
Even in the worst times where your rent has to go back, you're still going to have money cash flowing.
Yeah.
I'd like to sit on a board of directors and I'd like to invest in some companies as well. That's, you know, the ultimate goals, right? Definitely multiple, definitely build but also build like an empire.
Yeah.
Like I want to build a fucking just massive company.
Like I want to be that guy that's like on the business journal, like a picture of me like, oh, Brad Loyet sold his business for $100 million to an acquisition company. Like that's what I want.
I was just checking out the worldwide technology guy who was a former professional soccer player and now he's a billionaire because he founded.
Is it Worldwide Technology?
Callahan?
Oh, because there's partners there. I'm thinking of the other one.
What's this guy's
name?
Jim Kavanaugh.
Okay, yeah, Kavanaugh.
Jim Kavanaugh, CEO, founder. And he's the guy that also helped bring the St. Louis City football club.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, a lot of enterprise was there too on that.
Yeah, for sure. So that's my ultimate goal with my company.
And it's totally doable. Like
it is.
Like I saw a video from John Travolta, and his kid was asking him, "Hey, what's it feel like to be 60?" And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And he's like, "You're 60 today, Dad. What's it feel like?" And he's like, "Well, you know, I'm getting older." And he's like, "No, Dad. Like, what does it feel like to be 60? Like, you're not that old. Like, do you remember when you were 30? Like, pretty much what we are now." And like, it made me think, like, when you really think about it, your first 15 to 16 years of your life are stuck in school where you really don't have that opportunity to really build a business.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, essentially, from 20 to 30, I feel like I've built something that's pretty cool. That's in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, by the time we're 60, literally could have almost anything.
Oh, yeah. And people, I think that's in terms of entrepreneurship. I was just listening to Bedros Keuilian's book, and he says this, and a bunch of other people say it. Is people really underestimate they overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 5 years.
Oh, for sure.
And then 10 years, right? So it's like, if we're just scratching the surface on like entrepreneurship, it's like, and you look at it in terms of the compound effect, right? Unless you like build a business and you're like, I'm set with this amount of money for the rest of my life and like incrementally grow. Like if your goal is to grow massively year over year, maybe you won't grow massively year over year, but
it's still your goal.
Compound effect is going to say that it's like, okay, maybe it's like little increments, but you're going to have huge leaps and jumps as long as your goal is to continue to grow.
You're going to be trending up the whole time.
Yes, 100%. So do you believe that the entrepreneurship bug is innate or can it be built over time?
So I think it can be part of you. I mean, I think it's part of your surroundings. Like I think that's why I have what I have, but then I also have a sister who has no desire to own her own business. So it's like, okay, how'd that happen? But I also think, which is another reason I kind of wish Dan was here because he's talked about it before, is I think the people who are honestly some of the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that had it the hardest. Like just in the Bedros book, like that dude, like they came to America, his dad had like $21 in his pocket. Yeah. Like the people who have the hardest work the hardest to get what they want.
From there, it was part of like the Communist Party.
Yeah,
Russia.
Like literally they snuck away from communism to get here. You know, so it's like I think that it is built into you by the situations you're around, whether that's good or bad. And I also think that like Rich Dad, Poor Dad type stuff, which is probably honestly one of my favorite books right now, is that you kind of see you can see this when you're out with friends or, you know, couples. Like you can see like that person is an employee. Like they are happy working from 8 to 5, getting their insurance, collecting their healthy paycheck and going home.
Right.
But then there's also the people who are like, I want more and I want a little bit more. And those are the people that end up starting a side hustle and then turning that into a business, or they're fucking Gary Vee in it, flipping shit at the fucking yard sales.
Yep. It's a little bit of greediness. And then who was the guy that we were supposed to have on but didn't end up coming on? It was like the Navy SEAL. Oh, what was his name? He's like a trainer for the Navy SEALs or something crazy like that. He was on Rogan. He came out with a book, but he talks about like it's a little bit of narcissism, but not necessarily in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like the idea of like building a business, building an empire, it's like I want more or I want to do something. Like this idea of I want to do something that other people haven't done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's how I live my life right now. Like I want to do things that 1% of the world's done just because. Like when somebody's like, oh, what'd you do this weekend? Like you mean you fucking did that? Like, yeah. That's what I fucking did. Whether that's something like running an Ironman or it's like fucking like, hey, I just bought a business worth fucking $10 million just because it sounded like a cool idea this weekend. Like stuff like that. Like that's what I want to do in life.
Yeah. It's badass. It's like I said, it's a little bit of narcissism, but they talk about how it's not necessarily a bad thing. So I would obviously be on the side of learned. I never thought I would actually start a company until, like I said, I got fired from my other job, and that's when, you know, all that shit happened. But it definitely helped having my first job in a small company that was building. And I learned and developed the itch like more and more when I got into that company and kind of helping them develop like structures and processes and procedures. And then also just reading. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like once I got the itch for reading and learning about people that are killing it, it was like, you know, the people writing books weren't like the, you know, VP of sales of XYZ company, right? The people that are fucking like Tony Robbins, right? Mm-hmm. He wasn't like, you know, HR manager over at this organization. It's like they ended up branching off and doing their own thing. And then through entrepreneurship, everybody goes through struggles, trials, tribulations. Like you go through shit no matter what type of entrepreneur you are. Learned to like articulate that and put it into books and trainings and resources.
Yeah. And honestly, like I didn't read a book until we started this book club 2 years ago. And books are like the cheapest knowledge you can get. Like $10, you can learn about somebody who's super successful. You can hear about all the shitty stuff they went through, how they got out of it. And if you pick up one thing from a book, you're going to have success from that.
Oh yeah.
So
100%. Dan's actually calling. Oh, I'll wait on this. Actually, What up?
Yeah, how was the pod?
You're actually live on the pod right now.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I just put you on speakerphone. So what do you got to say? Hey, while you're on here, can you tell us what are the main things people need? What are the biggest things people should consider before starting their own business?
All right, this is a phone a friend.
Yes.
I can tell you all about what you need to consider.
Let's hear it.
All right, so if I'm actually on the pod right now,
You are.
what you need to consider is the vehicle. Like, look at the business as a vehicle, and how far is that vehicle going to get you? So, if I want to start a business and it's making bows for girls' hair, and you want to do it as a side hustle, what does that vehicle get you, right? Like, can you make $3 a bow? How many bows are you going to have to do to make the amount of money that you want to make, or scale your business to where you want it to get, right? So every business that you get into, I think you should consider the long term and what you can gain out of it before you get into that business. I do think that you should do something that you're fairly passionate about, but you got to be smart about it. There's a lot of people that start businesses with their passion, but they don't actually make any money in the long run. And then also you need to figure out what you can charge to scale. So you can come in with a price point that makes sense if you're going to be an independent business owner. But if you're charging a price that only pays for you, that's not going to cover a sales team one day. That's not going to cover customer success team. It's not going to cover a lot of different people that you're going to need once you start to scale. So you got to look at your price point. But I'm also a believer in eating shit for those first couple of years, meaning working for a little bit cheaper to build a name, build a brand, build up your name. And from there, start to raise your price to a scalable price point. And that's it.
Damn. Well, we definitely are happy we answered. We got some fire from DG over here. For all of our listeners, we appreciate you calling in, Dan. And keep listening.
I make it work no matter what. I never miss if I have any control over it.
Okay, I'll call you after. So the last question that we have is, and this is what I asked Dan. Brad, what do you think the most important things people should consider before starting their own business? And I'm sure a lot of ours are going to overlap. So let's just get through it, because I feel like this is going to be probably the most like tangible shit that people can take away from this, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go a little bit against what Dan just said, and I think it should be something you have a passion for. I mean, obviously you need to audit and see if it's going to make you money, which, I mean, there's some things that people have a passion for that just aren't going to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's something you have a passion for, it's a whole lot easier to get up every morning and work, because it's something you love doing. I also think one of the important things that you need to do, which is kind of more nuts and bolts, is get legal. Like, get a hold of an attorney, set up an LLC, get all your documents in order, get your tax ID, all that stuff.
Yep.
And I also think that you need to find a really good CPA, because I think your accountant can be one of your biggest saving graces come tax season. I mean, he clears up my computer every single month, and he also steers me in the direction of, hey, this is what it's looking like. This is how much you should probably spend. This is how much money you need to send into the financial advisor so we can, max out all your contributions.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are kind of my nuts and bolts things. And
what's your ultimate goal with your companies?
So I think what's important for setting goals is, this is something that like a new to me mentor actually just told me about. I messaged you guys about, and it's actually pretty cool. It's called a personal financial statement. You guys heard of that before?
No.
So it's basically like you kind of calculate your net worth. You make a Excel spreadsheet. You have assets, you have liabilities. You literally write down every single asset you have, whether that's your house, your car that you have paid off, whatever it may be, your equipment that's in your building, your investments, everything that's an asset, you put in one line. And then on the other side, you have your liabilities. You have your mortgage, your car payment, whatever those things are. They're your constant payments that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at that once a year or once a quarter, whatever it is, and you can look and see like, okay, well, where am I at this year versus where I was last year? And you can see if you're growing or if you're, shrinking in your size, because you literally can just subtract your liabilities from your assets, and you get what your net worth is.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. There's an app, and I haven't used it in a while, but there's a free app that does that. If I can, I think it's called Personal Capital.
Sounds like something that would be that.
Personal Capital, yes, same thing, but it's like automatically, like it's a app instead of an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
And you link your bank accounts all in there, your student loans, car payment,
exactly.
all that stuff. And it'll calculate that. I need to get back to using that. So, in terms of most important things, it's most of what Brad said. So, the biggest takeaways I got is first, you got to get your LLC. Or if you're S Corp or C Corp or whatever the other things are. And with that, you basically file for articles of organization in St. Louis or in Missouri. You go to mo.gov. You go there, it's like $50, right? They walk you through. It takes 15 minutes to set up. And then you have to get yourself an EIN number.
Yep.
You secure a legal name for your business, determine, this is all within the same deal. You secure a legal name, determine like member managed or manager managed, which most solo entrepreneurs don't have to worry about that. You're member managed. It all sounds like a lot, but it's really, really easy to go through. Also, if you have somebody that started their own business, have them walk you through it because it's going to make it fly by a lot faster.
I actually paid an attorney to do mine.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably what I should have done because I was like, what the fuck does all this stuff mean?
Yeah.
I had no idea. But you just got to decide your legal name basically and then pay the $50. And you can have somebody else do everything else for you. And then money. Get a bank account for your business. And then if you don't have a CPA, which you probably should get one, get a bank account and a savings account. And then put at least 30% away because you're not going to know what the fuck you owe at the end of the year. And it's always better to overshoot than to undershoot, depending on how much you're going to make. QuickBooks, though, it's like $25 a month for the first year to start off. So it'll link you directly to your bank accounts, and you can go in every day and just classify. Like, was this a personal spend or was this a business expense? If it's a business expense, what kind of business expense? At the end of the year, you give it to your CPA. You know exactly what you're doing. It's going to make your life a billion times easier. Lastly, for those that, for like me, for a long time, like I were bad at saving and managing money, make sure you have a minimum of 3 to 6 months of reserves put away before you break away from that corporate gig. Because we all know in entrepreneurship, sometimes we just don't know when our next paycheck is going to be.
And that's a big takeaway from the Josh Sample podcast we did. He said they only had 1 month of reserves for payroll. And I was blown away by that.
At Drive?
Yeah.
That was super surprising to me too.
I could not believe that. I'm like, 1 month? That's nothing.
Right.
I mean, but hey, it worked, I guess.
Yeah.
And luckily, Matt James made those contracts so tight so no one could get out of their deals that they had. So that's why they were able to afford it.
Legally binding. Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So that's all I got. Do we have anything else? Anybody?
So next week we head to California, interview Bedros.
Yes.
And then the following week, we're actually off from the pod because we're hosting our first in-person event.
We are. So we've been meaning to say something on the podcast about it. So it's going to be September 15th. Brad, go ahead and give them a little bit of information.
So it's going to be at Tech Artista.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Central West End.
Yep.
We're going to have some food, some drinks. It's going to be pretty low-key. I think 12 people we're going to have there.
Yeah. So for the first one, it's going to start at 7 p.m. The idea for this, from my understanding, and Brad and Dan really kind of put a lot of thought behind this, but we want it to be small enough to where we can help people out. So the first one, besides us, there's going to be 12 other seats there. And the goal is to everybody introduce themselves, understand that we're all like-minded. We're all either entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, or have been in the game for a fuck ton of time. And we want to walk through what we do and where our biggest issues are from where we're at. And just see if we can help each other out. We're going to put a lot of structure to this down the road, but this is the first step of many towards building a group of professionals or brofessionals, if you will.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might look at it as like a networking event, but to me, I'm looking at it more as like a counseling event, maybe, or something. Like it's a learning event.
This is a brotherhood, guys.
Yeah.
If anyone,
there you go, almost a cult.
It's a cult. Like basically,
we do have an initiation.
Well, there's initiation. There's the elephant walk. There's a handful of things. Listen,
Paddles.
it's going to get weird for a while, but it's going to make it worth it
Yeah.
once you're officially initiated. And then you have to get a tattoo.
If anyone hands you a business card too, we're just going to kick them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's not a sales event. It's
Yes.
nothing like that. It's
No.
literally just like, it's almost like a behind closed doors, like how are we going to take over the world type deal.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Freemason style shit.
Yeah. Well, again, it's
Jim Jones.
We can't emphasize enough.
Cult.
Yes, in a sense, I guess you are networking, but it's like we want to bring together a group of like-minded men and women that just want to kill it at shit and don't want to be part of like these super cliche networking events where it's just like Brad and Bobby were saying, like nothing but card passing, and then you get people
hate those.
calling on you for whatever the fuck it is. So we have no idea what it's going to be. Like we're not going to sit here and say we've got all the structure in the world, but the first event that I ever tried to make turned into this podcast. It turned into, there was 6 people, and then it turned down to 4 guys.
Well, we did have those 2 fat chicks.
Right.
Well, we kicked them out pretty quick.
Well, we didn't kick them out. They just didn't show back up.
Yeah.
Probably because they saw Dan. And it was like, this guy cannot run anything.
Literally can't run.
Yeah. But September
Dan.
15th, 7 p.m., Tech Artista, St. Louis. We'll post a couple other things on Instagram. Hit us up if you want to attend. Let us know. Otherwise, we'll talk to you next week, and we'll be in California.
That's right. Sunning.
Deuces.
Later.
See ya.